one thing, and that's goodness for you, goodness for West Virginia.
Now at midday, changing of the guard.
Jim Justice.
Today, Jim Justice starts his mission to make that happen.
Will he be able to replicate what he's managed to do in the private sector in a completely different arena? West Virginia inaugurates a new governor. Yes, it is West Virginia's time. That is the theme today for the inauguration, and Jim Justice says it will be the theme over the next 4 years. Good afternoon. I'm Tim Ear.
I'm Amanda Barron. Thanks so much for joining us for this special edition of News Channel 3 Midday, live at the West Virginia Capitol, where there really is a great excitement in the air today.
And a beautiful day.
Yeah, lots of people who haven't seen each other in a while, some political newcomers here, and of course, a big day as we change the guard here. Today, Governor-elect Jim Justice will be sworn in as the Mountain State's 36th governor, but it was made official likely while you were asleep last night. Justice taking the midnight oath of office in the chapel at the Greenbrier. Of course, that chapel, the first person to get married in that chapel, his daughter, Dr. Jill Justice, was married there, and it's a very special place for his family, and that is where they held that celebration last night. We want to give you now a live look here at the West Virginia State Capitol, where people are starting to trickle in, and we're very fortunate because it's actually a really pleasant day outside.
It's turned out to be perfect, really, weather-wise. Not too hot, not too cold, just a perfect kind of day. And we're going to start here with this newscast, and we're going to be on the air for the next hour, and then at 1 o'clock the actual inauguration begins, and we will bring that to you live as well, too.
Of course, we have a lot of things to bring to you today, a lot of interesting little tidbits of history, but we want to tell you today, coming up over the next hour, you're going to have a look back at all the previous governors, what you can expect today, and what the incoming governor has planned for the next 4 years. I also had the opportunity to sit down with our next First Lady, Kathy Justice, and we're going to learn more about her goals during her husband's tenure.
If you do it for the right reasons and help people, and he does. I mean, he helps so many people, and he feels responsible. He has a responsibility, and especially now.
Take a live look now at the forecast. Meteorologist Josh Fitzpatrick has also made the trip to the state capitol because we wanted to showcase this weather after all. It's so nice.
We've had some crazy inaugurations weather-wise.
We have.
For sure.
Hi there, Tim and Amanda. So great to be with you on this Monday afternoon. And yes, we're talking about not a bad day here in the capital city of West Virginia. Thankfully, we've had some sun actually break through the pesky overcast. It was very gloomy, dreary, with areas of fog first thing this morning, especially on the hilltops around the Capitol. But temperatures now are rising from the 40s into the 50s. You can see the folks behind me over on the seats as they get ready for the inauguration. Early this morning, they had to dry off those seats. You know, we've had nearly 3 inches of rain so far this month, and a lot of that fell over the last couple of days, so the Capitol grounds are quite muddy and soggy. So as I mentioned last night, yeah, you don't want to wear your best pair of shoes today as we're seeing very muddy conditions, but at least there's no new rainfall across the region. Let's take a quick look at our live HD dual Doppler radar network as it scans the skies looking for the rain showers, and thankfully the rain has held off. We had quite a bit of rain last evening and just a couple of spotty showers across the region, but thankfully it looks like we're going to see it stay mostly dry for the inauguration. I can't completely rule out a spotty shower here or there, but it will not be a total washout. But do you remember 2005 when Manchin was inaugurated? Yes, we had quite a bit of cold and snow as Joe Manchin was inaugurated, and his wife Gail as they took the parade down Canal Boulevard. We had a couple of inches of snow. Wind chills were in the single numbers, and in some cases a little bit below zero. But we'll take a look back at other inauguration weather in the next half hour. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Tim and Amanda.
All right, thanks, Josh. I missed the memo on the shoe thing that he talked about.
Yeah, I didn't at all.
So I'm going to end up with muddy shoes. It's really not too bad around here. There aren't any puddles. There aren't. It's, as we said, weather-wise, it really worked out.
And most of the people who will be here will, of course, be on the front steps of the Capitol. We are facing the river here today and having a great day.
Well, it is today's theme. We mentioned to you a little bit earlier. It's West Virginia's time. That's what Mr. Justice believes is the right thing to say. As West Virginia, he wants to make it kind of the the go-to ComEd as far as a rocketing of jobs is concerned. He wants to try to energize the state's future and do something really good for the economy.
And he's painted that picture before, that rocket ride. He said that a couple of times. The inaugural theme emphasizes basically what he calls the state's potential and Justice's boundless faith in the ability of West Virginians to achieve greatness. As a lifelong West Virginian and a renowned business leader in his home state and the national level, Governor-elect Justice brings to the office a unique perspective on how to elevate West Virginia to new heights. Of course, he is not a politician by any stretch of the imagination. No. He is a business owner. I want to take a look back now at what Governor Jim Justice has accomplished and just a little more about his life. He was born in 1951. He graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School in Beckley in 1969. After that, he attended the Greenbrier Military Academy as a postgraduate.
And then he attended Marshall University. He was the captain of the golf team and earned a master's in business administration. In
1976, he joined his family business and started Justice Farms. His companies now farm more than 50,000 acres of corn, wheat, and soybeans in West Virginia, North and South Carolina. Now, in 1993, Justice became the first president of Bluestone Industries. He ended up selling that company in 2008, but he reacquired it and then reopened all those mines, Tim, in 2015.
And then in 2009, Jim Justice rescued the Greenbrier Resort, maybe the most famous thing he could do from bankruptcy, by bringing in the PGA Tour. He brought in the training camps for the New Orleans Saints and Patriots, countless high-profile acts.
That's for sure. He's not a patient man. That's what his wife told me, and we'll get to know that. He said he wanted to get that Greenbrier open and get things going. All right, we want to show you what's going on behind us. Of course, we can see some police officers moving in right now. None of this, though, happened overnight.
No, the crews have been working since Thursday to try to set this up. We saw first some of the risers go up, and then we saw the banners being put into place late last week, Thursday and Friday. They had to tangle with a lot of rain, too, so it wasn't easy. And then the final thing that they did was, of course, they got everything set as far as the special last banners that went up, and then some of the last details as far as the seats and decorations. So everything's all set.
Everything is set. Hundreds of people will be here today, and they are arriving, as I said, right now. News Channel 3's Taylor Eaton joins us now. And Taylor, you've been here since the wee hours of the morning, so of course you've been watching the process all day.
Well, good afternoon, Tim and Amanda. We're glad to be joining you here for this special day here in our capital city. This is also a special day for the hundreds of people that you mentioned that are now behind me. A lot of these people have different reasons as to why they came out today to see Jim Justice be sworn in as governor. I want to step out of the screen and kind of give you a look as people are now filing in, filling up these seats here to see this historical day in Charleston. Now, I talked with one man earlier. His name is George Bryant, and he says the main reason he came today is to see his granddaughter. Of course, he says he didn't want it to miss this inauguration day, but he says the main reason he came was because of his 8-year-old granddaughter. She is going to be saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and he says she has been rehearsing for weeks now, trying to prepare for this day.
She was excited, and I insulted her by asking her if she knew how to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and all weekend, every time she saw me, she stopped and would recite it for me.
Now, you can imagine, he says she's pretty nervous, but he also says that she's very excited. He says those nerves don't really mean a thing to her compared to what today means for her. So coming up later, though, in the newscast, Tim and Amanda, we're going to hear from another woman who also has a very personal reason as to why she's here today. It's actually her very first time that she's coming to an inauguration. So a lot of people excited for this special day. We'll hear from her coming up in about 30 minutes.
All right, lots of interesting stories today, for sure.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. The 2017 West Virginia legislative session, opened House and Senate, actually last Wednesday it started.
That's for sure. And the infamous gavel-in, of course, Governor Earl Ray Tomblin also gave his final speech during that. And leaders were selected for the House and Senate. This is the 83rd legislature, and they are on a break now until that session resumes on February 8th. Now, Republican Tim Armstead will once again be the Speaker of the House. Armstead is a representative from Kanawha County, and last week he announced his leadership team. Delegate Darrell Cowles from Morgan County will continue to serve as majority leader. Delegate John Overington will be the Speaker pro tempore. The Speaker pro tempore will assume the chair during the session should the Speaker be absent or have to leave his post, Tim, to address members from the floor.
Tim Armstead selected Delegate Carol Miller to be the majority whip. She is a Republican from Cabell County. She was first Republican whip in the state history, really. Miller was first selected to the elected elected to the House in 2006, and Speaker Armstead says the relationships and skills that Miller has developed will benefit her as whip.
Senator Mitch Carmichael, a Republican from Jackson County, voted in as Senate president for the first time, and during his acceptance speech last week, Carmichael told the Senate the state's in trouble. He told them the 60-day session, which again will start February 8th, must be about jobs. Now, one of the biggest obstacles lawmakers are going to face during this 83rd legislative session is the budget.
Yeah, there's a $400 million shortfall, and that just can't be ignored. Now, some have called it the largest financial crisis that the state of West Virginia has ever had, but one of Jim Justice's campaign promises was to balance that budget without raising taxes, and some Republicans agree with him on that as well. The Senate President, Mitch Carmichael, who we just mentioned, he has vowed to work with Jim Justice as much as possible with the administration to keep the state's burden from hurting families, he says, who are already struggling financially. And during his farewell address last Wednesday, Governor Earl Ray Tomblin presented his own budget plan that he hopes will be passed quickly.
Making sure that we can pay our bills without taking the rainy day fund to dangerously low levels, or cutting services to the point where we cannot care for our people or educate our students. Therefore, the budget I present to you today includes a 1% increase in the consumer sales tax to raise $200 million and elimination of the current sales tax exemption on telecommunication services.
Jim Justice said repeatedly all through his campaign, and he's continued to maintain that he believes that West Virginians pay too much in taxes, that the burden is too great. Now, around our region, we are not alone. Of course, Kentucky and Ohio already started their sessions for the year as well. The Kentucky General Assembly is now on break and will go back into session on February 7th. March 30th is the last day of that session in the Bluegrass. For the Ohio General Assembly, the House and Senate have scheduled sessions for next week, January 25th.
All right, still ahead here on this special edition of News Channel 3 Midday. Today's news from outside West Virginia's capital. Rob Johnson joins us in our Huntington studio with an update. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to the West Virginia Capitol. This is the special edition of News Channel 3 Midday. We're going to take another look at people coming in just a little bit. It's, of course, the inauguration of the 36th Governor, Jim Justice.
And, of course, we have plenty of other headlines to get to. And for that, we turn to News Channel 3's Rob Johnson in this studio. Hey, Rob.
Hey guys, we'll get back to you soon enough, but in the news today, an autopsy is going to try and identify the body that was pulled from the Kanawha River Saturday evening. A crew on a barge noticed the body in the river, called authorities. West Virginia State Police, Point Pleasant Fire Department, and the Gallia County Sheriff's Office all responded. Point Pleasant's fire chief says that there wasn't any kind of identification on this man. State Police believe they know who it is, but they're waiting on word from the medical examiner's office. But no one was home when a fire ended up destroying a house in Dunbar this morning. This was first reported about 8:30 along Parkway Drive. The flames and smoke people saw along I-64 for a long way. They haven't determined the cause of this just yet, but there was another fire at the same location a couple of weeks ago. The first one was in a different building, but on that very same property. A two-car crash in Jackson County, West Virginia, killed a 76-year-old woman. Her name hasn't yet been released. Sheriff Tony Boggs tells us crash happened about 7:30 this morning on Wilding Road in Ravenswood. No word yet on whether there were any other injuries. Now, police looking for your help in identifying these two women wanted in a robbery. Police say it happened around 2:30 Saturday afternoon at the Walmart in Nitro. Take a look at the picture. Officers say that these were the women who went into the store, stole a computer valued at about $500. Then an accomplice, a young man, pulled the fire alarm to distract employees. The two women and the young man then left together from the store through a side door with the stolen computer. Police say they drove off in an older model, maroon Buick Regal, that did have some body damage. This is Martin Luther King Day and the celebration of his birth. Many different ceremonies today. People are holding marches in Portsmouth, Ashland, Huntington, and here in Charleston. This ceremony at the Asbury United Methodist Church, and after the ceremony, they marched at noon to the Capitol Complex. But because of today's inaugural events, they didn't ring the Liberty Bell as they typically would. Well, still ahead here at midday, we head back out to the Capitol with Tim and Amanda. Take another look at the inauguration of the governor.
And of course, we're tracking those clouds. Want to get some warmer weather in here? We have your complete forecast up next.
First first warning weather.
With all the Martin Luther King marches going on in cities around our region, they, I think, are lucking out. We saw rain even this morning that we're not seeing now.
That's right. The goal was to at least get it stopped raining. We kind of knew that parting the clouds was out, you know, but there are worse things. We've had those sub-freezing temperatures. Josh was talking about the wind-driven snow. You know, this time of year, it's supposed to be cold and snowy, and the whole dead of winter thought, we've got some milder weather, even than what we had this weekend, and we're going to take that this afternoon. The best opportunity for breaks in the skies will be right now, right through about late afternoon, and in the western counties primarily. To the east, you're probably still going to deal with the socked-in cloud cover and even some isolated drizzle, but it's not nearly as bad as it was this weekend or this morning. Now we get to tonight. New rain is coming on the scene. It's still a very active weather pattern, and the next system would be lining up there. Dual Doppler currently showing that we are largely dry here across the tri-state, but up to the north along Route 50, you've got a few showers here. Their wave is lifting out of here. And behind it, the warmer temperatures, 48 in Charleston, 51 in Paintsville, not so bad. We did have a lot of that dreary fog around here, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Another system off toward our west will be developing and moving up and over here, so we'll have that on our hands. But notice the lack of showers, plenty of clouds, but low on the showers the rest of the day today. Get into Tuesday, and we're going to be bringing in the next batch of rain sliding through town. Got to deal with that, and we'll also have it on our hands as we go on into Wednesday as well. So here's that forecast. Certainly gloomy this morning it was, but now we're looking at some fairly decent skies getting into the day. High temperature around 55. Now, it's a relative term. You still got plenty of clouds, but as far as the showers, way more isolated and for all intents, not raining out there at any spot right now anyway. And the milder temperatures. Overnight tonight, staying mild, but the next line of showers coming at us by dawn with these near steady temperatures. And you can see a pretty active weather pattern in the extended forecast. 3 different systems come by, but they're not going to be snow. These temperatures, well warmer than even this weekend, 50s and 60s. All the way through the entire week. Here it is mid-January.
Yeah, by the end of that forecast, we're going to be looking at late January, still warm.
Yep.
That's weird. Thank you, sir. Still ahead here on News Channel 3 Midday, Amanda and Tim rejoining us from the Capitol in Charleston, and we'll hear from the next First Lady of West Virginia, Kathy Justice. Stay with us for more of Midday.
And welcome back to our very special coverage here at West Virginia's Capitol as the inauguration of Jim Justice, the 36th governor of West Virginia, is about to get underway.
And between now and the time he wraps up, we will have continuous coverage right here on WSAZ.
You know, throughout this entire process, we've learned a lot about Jim Justice. We wanted to get to know the more personal side of the Justice family, and I had a chance to sit down with the First Lady last week. Here's our story.
The story of how West Virginia's new first family became a family started at Woodrow Wilson High School in Beckley in a speech class.
Well, I walked to the front of the room. I couldn't even think of my name. It was terrible. And so Jim and all of his friends were just rolling, laughing on the floor, you know.
Jim is now Governor-elect Jim Justice, and at the time, the future First Lady was Kathy Comer. After high school, he went to the University of Tennessee on a golf scholarship, but later transferred to Marshall University to be with his girlfriend. 40 years of marriage later.
What do you think the secret has been that's made you guys tick?
Well, we just kind of, I think, do everything together. I think we do a lot of things together. The kids and, well, they're grown now and everything, but we've just always been involved.
The kids are Jay and Jill, both grown. Jay runs the family's mining and agricultural businesses. Dr. Jill Justice is now the president of the Greenbrier. They no longer live in the family's home in Lewisburg, but these children do.
That's Molly. This is Lucy. She's a little bit nervous.
What will change when you guys take on this new role?
Well, I think we as people won't change. I think there'll be more responsibility, and what you see is what we are. You know, there's no pretense about anything, and we love to be around people.
That includes Greenbrier East basketball team dinners right here in their 6'7" coach's great room.
A lot of ideas in this room, a lot of good energy.
Yes.
And you talked about that chair in particular.
That's the chair.
Whose chair is that?
That's little Jimmy's chair. Jim's chair.
A chair where ideas are born and deals are made. The governor, who Forbes.com says is worth $1.6 billion, and the First Lady have lived in the same modest home they've been in since 2001.
I love it when they get there.
You guys are, I hear you guys don't have any answering machines. Is that true?
Yes.
And at the end of this ceremony today, or during the ceremony today, I should say, there will be a Bible, obviously, that he'll be sworn in on. It was a friend of the family, a friend of 30 years. He has passed away, but they said this is how their friend LD will be here in spirit with them today as he is sworn in. The Bible is all marked up, highlighted, lines drawn. And an interesting note,
a working Bible.
yes, the governor is a very busy person, obviously, but he reads the Bible each and every day. He's already read it through one time, and Mrs. Justice told me he's actually on his second reading.
That probably did not hurt him on the campaign. There's no doubt about that. We've been following that campaign since the very beginning. Of course, it was Jeff Kessler, Booth Goodwin, and Jim Justice in the Democratic primary, and then after winning that, he went on to face Bill Cole in the general election. And a very interesting path along the way. News Channel 3's Blaine Carraher joins us now to talk about Justice's path to the governor's seat.
Well, Tim, whenever I would talk with Jim Justice during the campaign trail, he made sure that I knew what he was all about. That's creating jobs and getting the state of West Virginia out of what he called a mess. Now, the Justice campaign focused on his strength as a businessman. He wanted everyone to know that he is not a politician. When I asked him how he was going to bring jobs back to the state, he told me his track record really speaks for itself. He's the CEO to a number of companies. He understands mining and agriculture, and he brought the Greenbrier out of bankruptcy. So this simple promise to bring jobs back to the state, to get West Virginia back on the map, has landed Jim Justice the governor's seat. And this man, he's going to be busy. He's going to be juggling the new job. He's also got a whole lot more going on. So when you guys come check back in with me, you'll hear just what this new governor is going to be up to.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Blaine. And with the new administration, of course, it's the changing of the guard, comes the retirement of Earl Ray Tomblin, West Virginia's 35th governor. And Mr. Tomblin is a native of Logan County, a longtime politician.
A longtime politician. This will be the first time in decades that he's actually been a private citizen. Tomblin was a self-employed businessman and a former school teacher when he was first elected to the House of Delegates in 1974. And he served until he was elected to the West Virginia State Senate in 1980. There he became the state's longest-serving Senate president. He was sworn in as governor on November 13th, 2011, and was sworn in for a second term in January of 2013. He gave his farewell address to the House and Senate last week. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I look forward to the leadership of Governor-elect Jim Justice, and I thank all of you who have worked with me over the years. I want to thank my cabinet members and agency directors. And I thank my dedicated staff members who have worked every day, not for me, but for the people of West Virginia.
I actually had the pleasure of going ATV riding once with him when they opened a new trail on the Hatfield-McCoy Trail. Governor Tomblin is known for many things. His quiet nature. He's also credited for the state's massive rainy day fund. Of course, he was very protective of that during the legislative session as they worked to balance the budget. And he's also known for some landmark substance abuse initiatives that are making a difference, as we're seeing.
And very personal for him.
Very much so. Well, each inauguration has its very own special touches.
Yeah, we're going to take a look back right now at, quickly at some of the past inaugurations that we have covered here. Here's a look back at the inauguration of Governor Gaston Caperton, the Democratic 31st governor, served from 1989 to 1997. He was followed by Cecil Underwood and then Bob Wise. The Democratic Governor Joe Manchin and now Senator Manchin was sworn in 2005 and then again for a second term in 2009. He won a special election in November of 2010 to fill the seat of Senator Robert Byrd, the longest-serving U.S. senator in history who died in office, and that's when Democratic Governor Earl Ray Tomblin stepped in. He had served previously as the president of the West Virginia Senate for about 17 years, and then he was sworn in for his own term as governor in 2013. Still ahead here at Midday, it's more than just the swearing in. There's a long list of chores that goes into the change of administrations. We'll tell you what that is when we come back. Welcome back to this special edition of News Channel 3 at midday as we listen to the 249th Army Band behind us.
They sound great here, bringing up a lot of excitement for the people who are here already. News Channel 3's Taylor Eaton has been here all morning long, watching the setup and actually getting to this point. And Taylor, you've been talking with people who've been waiting for today and have very special reasons for coming out.
Well, Amanda, as you can hear behind me, the 249th Army Band is striking up right now, getting ready for the 1 o'clock ceremony, the 36th inauguration for the 36th governor of West Virginia, of course, Jim Justice. Take a look behind me. You can see still plenty of people filing in to witness this day in history. Now, I talked with one woman who is sitting in this crowd. Her name is Audrey Van Buren. She's from White Sulphur Springs, and she says the reason she came out today is she is a personal friend of Jim Justice. She says she has known him for years, and she's very excited to see where he takes West Virginia in the future.
Jim Justice has been a friend of our family for years, and our niece and Lisa's daughter is going to sing Wind Beneath My Wings today, and so what an honor for her to be able to do that.
So a lot of the people behind me have different reasons as to why they're here. Some people say they've been here for every inauguration with their family. Others, like Audrey, it's their first time. But either way, Tim and Amanda, it's an exciting day for all of the people who are sitting in the crowd behind me.
Yeah, it becomes a family tradition then in some cases.
For so many people.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. After the inauguration ceremony itself, the governor and the first lady will greet some of the honored guests in the lower rotunda.
This is something new they've never done, and this is also what they'll be signing. This is the commemorative program. It says it's West Virginia's time. Of course, that is the theme today, and that is a part of the public reception that will follow. The reception will also be in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and those people who attend will also be hearing the music of Bob Thompson, a very, very talented pianist.
Yep.
That's for sure. The live celebration will be here all day, of course, but the fun actually heads south tonight to the Greenbrier. 7:30 this evening is when that ball starts. It is black tie optional and going to be a great time.
It is. It's open to the public, black tie optional, but you have to have tickets, of course, to get in. Tickets are $75. The entertainment for the evening will feature Landau Eugene Murphy Jr., the West Virginia Jazz Orchestra, plus there's a national headliner that they say is a surprise for the event.
I have my ideas.
You do have your
I have my ideas. Yes.
Well, our own Nathan Takich is in White Sulphur Springs tonight to bring you the very latest. Now, really decent temperatures so far, especially for the middle of January.
Yes, we were not expecting this at all. We were, because we had a great forecast to let us know. It's just a nice treat. Meteorologist Josh Fitzpatrick joins us now with more on the weather today. Hey, Josh.
Hi there, Tim and Amanda. Yes, the weather obviously could be a lot colder than this. A year ago today, it was 18 degrees. So definitely a big time change with temperatures right now here in the Capitol complex of 48 degrees. We're going to end up in the 50s. That's about 10 degrees above average for this time in January. And the wind is calm. There's really no wind whatsoever. And so folks are here with just light jackets on, like myself. I don't need gloves or the scarf or the hat. And thankfully, we've had a couple of breaks in the clouds out here, and it looks like it's wanting to rain, but so far so good. Let's take a look at HD Dual Doppler, an update on the radar network. I'm watching the radar on the First Warning Weather mobile app, and it clearly shows that we're in fine shape. Showers aren't that close by to us, and fingers crossed we keep it that way as a warm front lifts on north across the region, bringing in the warmer temperatures. All right, so the inauguration weather today is okay. But let's take a look back at previous inauguration forecast. As we know, it can be a lot colder and snowier. Tony Cavalier takes a look back at previous inauguration weather forecasts over the past several decades.
If it's the third Monday in January, it's supposed to be cold and snowy in Charleston. So it was for the inauguration of Hewlett Smith in 1965. The late, great Boz Johnson led WSAZ's coverage, perched atop the roof of the Capitol wing, looking at Washington Street. WSAZ archives all the way back to 1957 show a cold and snowy time on the steps of the Charleston Capitol for the ascent of Cecil Underwood to the highest office in West Virginia. A record 40 years later, Mr. Underwood would reassume that same position in 1997 on a sunny day with snow on the ground. Now, footage from 1969 shows Archmore's tenure as governor began on a cold but snow-free day. Gloves and overcoats, the fashion du jour. 8 years later came the coldest inauguration in Mountain State history. In the middle of the harshest winter of the 20th century, Mr. Moore had the honor of introducing Jay Rockefeller as governor on a near 0-degree day. The hardy group of mountaineers gathered braved a brutal 20 below wind chill. For 19-gun salutes done on quiet and mild winter days, the start of the tenure of Bob Wise in 2001 comes to mind. Likewise, Gaston Caperton was treated to identical sunny and comfy midwinter days in '89 and '93. More recently, Joe Manchin and wife Gail brought back the inaugural parade and found the going cold and snowy as they greeted frozen parade goers in 2005 and 2009. Finally, 4 years ago, Earl Ray Tomlin was sworn in as the 35th governor on a blustery and cold day in wild and wonderful West Virginia.
And speaking of Earl Ray Tomlin, we are seeing him and former First Lady Joanne Yeager sitting in their SUV right over here. You know, it's not all about Jim Justice today. There are 6 other people who are being sworn in, including Republican Secretary of State Matt Warner. Warner replaces Natalie Tennant. Also, Auditor J.B. McCuskey. He's the first Republican to win that seat since 1928. He takes the seat from Glenn Gaynor, who served from '93 until he resigned in May of 2016.
Treasurer John Perdue returns for another term as the state treasurer. This is his 6th term, by the way, and he's been here since '96. He manages more than $13 billion of state money every year. Kent Leonhardt, he's a new one. He will be sworn in as the new Commissioner of Agriculture. He's a longtime farmer and unseated Democratic incumbent Walt Helmick in the November election.
And Republican Attorney General Patrick Morrisey is going to be sworn in for another term, his 2nd from Harper's Ferry. He was the first Republican to serve in the role in West Virginia since 1933. Also sworn in today, Supreme Court Justice Beth Walker. She was the first justice elected in a nonpartisan race, a first for the state, and she, of course, already took office on January 1st.
You know, with all the pomp and circumstance, as you can hear behind us, surrounding this transition in power, there's still a lot of work to be done until the official governor's transition actually takes place. Katie Anderson joins us after speaking with the governor's transition team.
That's right, Tim and Amanda. When you're driving into West Virginia, you've probably seen the signs, "Welcome to Wild and Wonderful West Virginia." Well, if you look in the corner of that sign, you see the Honorable Earl Ray Tomlin. Well, that's just one of hundreds of signs across the state that have to be changed, and items across the state, from stationery to pamphlets, business cards, and door signs that also have to be changed for the new incoming governor. Larry Puccio is the chair of the governor's transition team and says after today's inauguration ceremony, the clock is ticking for many state agencies.
So different agencies handle those type of things, and it's a standard practice, and they try to get on it as soon as possible to have it up and running so that we don't miss a beat from one governor to another.
Now, another major factor in the governor's transition is the governor's mansion. Crews will move all of the Governor Tomlin's furniture out of the Governor Jim so Governor Jim Justice items can be moved in. Puccio says Governor Justice will spend time in the mansion here and there, but says he will also travel a lot throughout the state. So really, guys, a lot of work to be done, and it's all going to be done within a matter of days. Back to you guys.
All right. Hey, thanks so much, Katie. And right now, when we come back, we're going to be 15 minutes away from inauguration time.
We hope you'll stay with us, and you're going to hear once again from First Lady Kathy Justice.
And sometimes those people are just kind of almost forgotten, or, you know, like second-tier stuff. And you don't want that to be, because just because you don't like college doesn't mean you just aren't as bright and everything as the next student.
And welcome back to our special coverage here live at the West Virginia State Capitol as we prepare for the inauguration of Jim Justice.
Jim Justice is calling this West Virginia's time, and the inauguration begins now in less than 15 minutes with the official ceremony.
The governor obviously has a very important role and sets the standard and sets the stage for how he sees the state moving in the next 4 years. But there's also another person that will take a part in that, and that's First Lady Kathy Justice. I had a chance to sit down with her last week to talk about the role she hopes to fill over the next 4 years.
Because it's so important to our state.
When it comes to her husband's big ideas,
Jim thinks on a kind of a much larger level than other people do. You know, I mean, he just has this vision that isn't an ordinary vision.
Not much surprises Kathy Justice, except maybe for this latest adventure.
Did it surprise you when he said he wanted to run for governor?
It did. We immediately said, "Are you crazy? You know, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing that?" But then if you just know Jim, if you know his compassion for people and wanting everyone to do well.
It's a sentiment and deeply personal responsibility she shares. As First Lady, she's hoping to shine a light on a segment of the student population.
I think you have a lot of the technical students that are kind of falling between the cracks, and then people that just need a little bit of motivation. And so I want to, and I don't know really yet what that role will be, but that's where I want to be. I just want to help students and try to mentor and set up programs like that, and just try to let them be as best as they can be. Everyone almost needs a mentor or someone that they feel like they can come to and talk to. I hope I'm that person.
For the last 40 years, it's exactly who she's been for her husband, now governor. She says from talk about business to problems and everything in between, communication between them is constant.
What do you think you lend to those conversations?
If I don't agree, I'll tell him, or, you know, I don't think that we're pretty honest, you know. So I think that honesty, and I think an ear just to listen, and I think everyone needs that.
And she certainly does provide that ear to listen. She's very genuine, very compassionate. All right, we're going to take a break here at the Capitol.
Back to Rob in the studio.
Well, and as a matter of fact, this is also a very big inauguration time at the national level. With all the excitement in Charleston, we're not focusing on that, but people can expect just as much pageantry this Friday in Washington. President-elect Donald Trump continuing to lash out at critics in the intelligence community and Democrats in Congress who are vowing to skip Friday's ceremony in Washington. The Republican questioned whether the CIA director himself was, quote, the leaker of fake news. The extraordinary criticism from the incumbent president came hours after a CIA chief, John Brennan, charged that Trump lacks a full understanding of the threat Moscow poses to the United States. Well, still coming up here at midday, we want to return to the Capitol in Charleston for the inauguration of the new governor of West Virginia.
And might we have a few breaks for sun right at the time of the inauguration? Well, it's been mainly the clouds that we've been battling with, but certainly not as cold as past inauguration days. Full forecast next.
First warning weather.
Well, good to know that we didn't show up for work and see all the sun that we didn't see on the weekend. At least this week is looking just like the weekend.
Yeah, you can't complain. If only we had this weather. There's going to be more of that being said, but we will have warmer weather to talk about. So that's something. I know not everybody likes the warmer weather, though, especially this time of year, ski slopes and all of that. They don't like being above freezing too much, but I bet the rest of us may be able to get used to the idea. At times this afternoon, we're going to see peaks of sunshine, but in short supply. Best luck for that, River Cities and west. Otherwise, still dealing with these clouds, stubborn clouds. And then later on tonight, a new reason for clouds, because the next system is already going to be knocking on the door. Dual Doppler right now has mainly dry skies, but start to notice a couple of little pitter-patters showing up there. So there's always that to contend with during the afternoon, but it's not everywhere. And those temperatures, they're on schedule, moving through to the 50-degree mark in the Charleston area and then all the way into the low 60s and upper 50s in the southern coal fields. Satellite composite showing that a lot of those clouds are still hanging around, but there are a couple of breaks here out toward the west. We'll see them working their way up through the Daniel Boone Forest towards us, but there's another storm system off to our west, and that is going to bring the showers through tonight especially. So get ready for the rain tonight into the day Tuesday, and you see some of that are going to be on the umbrella-worthy side during the day Tuesday. But then by Wednesday, that system slowly fades away, but guess what? The clouds, they're going to be rather stubborn all over again. So forecast, mainly cloudy today, a couple of breaks this afternoon, an isolated shower at best. More importantly, milder for everyone. Mid-50s this afternoon. Tonight, down to about 50, and that's it. Near steady temperatures because the next system coming in going to be even warmer into the mid-60s. We don't usually have this kind of warmth here in the middle of January. We have a whole week of it, so even though we have several systems, not snow. If it were snow, we would be shoveling for sure, but not so this time.
Those overnight lows, very little scraping of the windshield.
Yeah, for sure.
Brandon, thank you.
The West Virginia State Senate.
We are getting closer and closer to the inauguration of Jim Justice here at the West Virginia State Capitol. Welcome back to our special coverage.
Yeah, just about 5 minutes from now, we will toss it actually to the live coverage of the inauguration itself. And we'll start with the processional, by the way. That's the way it's going to start. And then there'll be the ringing of the bell in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Jim Justice, of course, is going to be a very busy man. He's a CEO. He's a coach. Now he's going to be a governor. We're going to check back in with Blaine Caraher now.
We are. More about how he's going to balance it all. Hi, Blaine.
Well, Jim Justice has made a promise to West Virginians that they should start to see a change for the better here in the next 10 months or so. So Jim Justice is going to be swamped trying to make good of this promise. But Justice is also going to be balancing his companies and his coaching. Now, he doesn't want to completely close down shop when it comes to his companies. And as for coaching basketball at Greenbrier East High School, Justice wants to keep on going strong. But ultimately, Justice says that he's got the right transition team to help him out and to help him deliver that promise of noticeable change in the next 10 months. So the transition team is really key for Justice here.
All right. Hey, thanks so much, Blaine. Of course, the inauguration ceremony itself will begin in, as we said, just a couple of minutes. It'll have a traditional 19-gun salute. They do that every time. An inaugural address from Jim Justice, the special music performances. There's the posting of the color by the military and law enforcement, and then the swearing in of the governor, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, the Treasurer, the Auditor, and the Commissioner of Agriculture.
A lot to get to, and we can tell you the governor has just arrived. We'll be right back. Stay with us.